You know what's wild? Most people have no idea that the cooking oil sitting in their kitchen cabinet right now could be growing in their backyard. Like, literally growing out of the ground, waiting to be harvested and pressed into something you can cook with, preserve food with, or use for a dozen other things around the house. And I'm not talking about some fringe survival situation. People have been pressing their own oils from plants for thousands of years. It's only in the last 100 years or so that we got convinced we needed to buy everything pre-made in a plastic bottle from a factory somewhere. So, today I want to walk you through 6 plants you can actually grow and press for oil right at home. Some of these you might already have in your garden without even realizing what you're sitting on. And I'll also touch on how pressing actually works because it's a lot more approachable than most people think. Let's start with the one that surprises almost everybody. Sunflowers. Yeah, the big, beautiful, cheerful flowers that people grow just for decoration. Those seeds are absolutely loaded with oil. Sunflower oil is one of the most widely used cooking oils in the world, and there's a reason for that. It has a mild flavor, a decent smoke point, and it works for frying, sautéing, baking, you name it. A single sunflower head can give you hundreds of seeds, and if you're growing a decent patch of them, you're looking at a real meaningful amount of oil. The variety matters here though. You want to look for what are called oil-type sunflowers, rather than the confection varieties that are bred for snacking. Oil-type sunflowers have smaller seeds with a higher oil content, sometimes up to 50% oil by weight. Plant them in full sun, give them some space, and they pretty much take care of themselves. When the heads dry out and the seeds are mature, you harvest, dry them a bit more if needed, and press them. Now let's talk about something that might already be in your herb garden. Flaxseed, also called linseed. This is a gorgeous little plant with delicate blue flowers, and the seeds it produces are tiny powerhouses. Flaxseed oil is incredibly rich in omega-3 fatty acids, more so than almost anything else you can grow. The thing to know about flax oil is that it has a low smoke point, so you're not frying chicken in it. But for cold applications, drizzling over salads, mixing into dressings, adding to smoothies, it's exceptional. It also has a slightly nutty flavor that a lot of people really love. Flax grows well in cooler climates. It doesn't need a ton of attention, and you can harvest the seed pods once they turn golden brown and start to rattle when you shake them. It's also worth knowing that flaxseed oil has been valued as a drying oil for wood finishing and other uses. So even if you're not eating all of it, it has real practical value. Third on the list is one that a lot of homesteaders are starting to rediscover, and that's pumpkin. Specifically, hull-less pumpkin varieties like Styrian pumpkins, which are bred specifically for their oil-rich seeds. You might have heard of pumpkin seed oil in gourmet cooking circles because it's this rich, dark, intensely flavored oil that's become really trendy. But people in Central Europe have been pressing it for centuries. The seeds from these hull-less varieties don't have that tough white shell you're used to cracking open, which makes processing them much easier. Pumpkin seed oil is loaded with nutrients, has a deep green color, and a flavor that honestly tastes like pumpkin seeds turned up to 11. Again, not a high-heat oil, but incredible as a finishing oil. Pour it over roasted vegetables, stir it into soups right before serving, or use it anywhere you'd use a nice olive oil. The plants themselves are just regular pumpkin vines, so if you have any experience growing squash, you've got this. Number 4 is something that people in the American South have been growing for generations, but that much of the country overlooks. And that's gourd seed corn, or more practically, just talking about the broader category here, let me pivot to the better backyard option, which is actually sesame. Sesame is one of the oldest oil crops in human history. It grows in hot, dry conditions where a lot of other plants struggle, which makes it really valuable if you're in a warmer climate. The plants grow to about 3 or 4 feet tall, they have pretty little white or pink flowers, and they produce seed pods that you need to watch carefully because when they're ready, they pop open and scatter seeds everywhere. Harvest them just before full maturity, hang the plants upside down over a sheet to catch the seeds, and you've got yourself the base for sesame oil. Cold-pressed sesame oil has a light, clean flavor, good for general cooking. Toasted sesame oil, which is made from roasted seeds, has that bold, distinctive flavor you know from Asian cooking. You can do both at home. Fifth is one that blows people's minds a little bit, because they think of it as a flower, not a food crop. Safflower. It looks a bit like a thistle with bright orange or yellow flowers, and it produces seeds with an oil content that can rival sunflowers. Safflower oil has one of the highest smoke points of any vegetable oil, which makes it genuinely excellent for high-heat cooking. It's also nearly flavorless, which is actually a feature, not a bug, when you want the taste of your food to come through without the oil competing with it. Safflower is drought-tolerant, grows in most temperate climates, and honestly doesn't get nearly enough attention in home gardens. The flowers also make a natural dye, so you're getting double value from the plant. Let the seed heads dry fully on the plant before harvesting, then process and press just like sunflower seeds. And number 6, save the best for last, right? Hazelnuts. Now I know what you're thinking. That's a tree, not a backyard plant. But hazelnut bushes, and yes, many varieties grow as multi-stemmed shrubs rather than full trees, can be managed in a surprisingly small space. They're productive, they're cold-hardy into zones 4 and even 3 in some varieties, and they produce nuts that have an oil content of around 60 to 70%. Hazelnut oil has this warm, rich, slightly sweet flavor that is absolutely extraordinary. It's used in high-end cooking and baking, and when you press it fresh at home, it's on another level compared to anything you'll buy at a store. It has a moderate smoke point, so it works for light sautéing, but it really shines in baked goods, salad dressings, and drizzled over things like roasted root vegetables, or even vanilla ice cream. The bushes also provide wildlife habitat. The nuts store well, and once established, they produce for decades with relatively little maintenance. Now let's talk quickly about pressing, because I know that's the question running through a lot of your minds. You don't need industrial equipment. There are manual cold press oil extractors you can find for a couple $100, or even less, and for smaller batches, a basic screw press does the job. Cold pressing means you're extracting the oil without adding heat, which preserves the flavor, the nutrients, and the natural qualities of the oil. Some people do lightly roast seeds before pressing to improve yield and develop flavor, which is a totally valid approach. The yield depends on what you're pressing, but to give you a rough idea, you're typically looking at something like a pound of sunflower seeds, giving you maybe 4 to 6 ounces of oil, sometimes more, depending on your press and your technique. So yes, you need volume to make it worthwhile, which is why planting a dedicated patch rather than a few plants makes the most sense if oil production is your actual goal. Store your pressed oils in dark glass bottles away from heat and light. Most homemade plant oils don't have the preservatives that commercial oils do, so they have shorter shelf lives. Flax oil especially should be refrigerated and used within a few weeks. Sunflower and hazelnut will last several months if stored properly. What I love about this whole idea is that it shifts something in your mind. You stop seeing your garden as just a place to grow tomatoes and peppers, and you start seeing it as a real, functioning system that can produce things you'd never thought to make yourself. Oil is so fundamental to cooking that having even a partial ability to produce your own is genuinely empowering. If you're going to start somewhere, I'd say sunflowers are your easiest entry point. Buy an oil-type variety, plant a good-sized patch, get yourself a small press, and just try it. The first time you cook something in oil that you grew and pressed yourself, something changes. You'll understand exactly what I mean. If you found this useful, there's a lot more where this came from. Hit subscribe because we go deep on this stuff all the time, and drop a comment below telling me which of these 6 you're most excited to try. I read every single one of them.